to look at some problems from your Test 2 review, and I'm going to start with problem 28. These are problems from 7.2, and I think they might be the most difficult. This one really you're going to simplify with your exponent rules. If you remember your exponent rules, if you have a power to a power, the rule is keep the base and multiply on the exponents. So we're going to multiply these. To multiply fractions, you multiply numerators. So 2 times 2 is 4. And you multiply denominators. 3 times 3 is 9. And this is actually simplified. 4 over 9 will not reduce. It is a positive exponent, so just leave it there. Problem 29 is also an exponent rule problem. So we have a product to a power. We're going to take the 4 down to each piece. So we have x to the 1/2 to the 4th and y to the 5/4 to the 4th. Now you have a power to a power. The rule is keep the base and multiply the exponents. So I have 1/2 times 4. We'll make that 4 over 1. Let's go ahead and finish the x. So we can simplify on the diagonals. We can divide out that 2. So 2 will go into 2 once and 2 will go into 4 2 times. So this will give us x to the 2 over 1, which is just 2. Then we'll do the y. And so we're going to keep the base and multiply the exponents. So we'll bring the y down. We have 5/4 times 4. We'll make the 4 look like a fraction. And to multiply these, you can cancel on the diagonals. So you can divide out that factor of 4. Gives you y to the 5 over 1. 5 over 1 simplifies just to 5. So this actually simplifies nice to x squared y to the 5th. Next we have a quotient or a fraction. And I'm just going to work in categories. So I have my numbers, I have x's, and I have y's. For our numbers, we would just reduce. And 4 over 3, that's all you can do. So we're going to leave that one. For the x's, you have a choice here because of the negative exponents. Our rule is we can subtract top to bottom, or you could have shifted positions because of the negatives. I'm going to go with subtract top to bottom, but that's not the only way. And then the y will shift. So we will keep the 4 over 3 because that does not reduce. For the x's, I'm going to work down below. And my rule when I have a fraction is keep the base and subtract the exponents. So I have a negative 1/3 minus a negative 1. Right? And minus a negative is going to make plus. Right? But I have a negative 1/3 and a positive 1. To work with a fraction and add or subtract, I need a common denominator. So 3 will work. My 1 is equal to 3 over 3. If you're stuck there, you have 1 over 1, and 3 would be your common denominator. So multiply top and bottom by the 3. So we will keep the common denominator and combine numerators, and a negative 1 and a positive 3 gives us a positive 2. So that's all we can do. When you use that subtract rule, it goes on the numerator. So x to the 2/3. Right, for my y, I only have one y. It has a negative exponent and it is in the denominator. So I need to move it to the numerator and change the exponent to positive. Again, we have a fraction or a quotient. I'll work in categories. So I have numbers, I have u's, and I have v's. So my numbers, my u's, my v's. For my numbers, I have 2 over 2, which is just 1. So these 2's are actually going to divide out as long as something else is there. For my u's, I will subtract the exponents top to bottom. So I will keep the base and subtract 5 halves minus 2. When you subtract fractions, you need a common denominator. So let's go ahead and make that 2 over 1. The common denominator will be a 2, so this one is missing a factor of 2. Put it on numerator and denominator. So I have u to the 5 halves minus 4 halves. And we'll keep the base there, and subtract will give us 1 half. Right? So my 2's canceled. I have u to the 1 half. That is on the numerator. Right? Then I'm going to work on my v's. So I'm going to subtract top to bottom. So I have v to the 1/3 minus a negative 1. Minus a negative will make plus. Right? And we'll make that 1 over 1. We need a common denominator. Looks like a 3 will work. So this one needs a 3 on the numerator and denominator. So I have v to the 1/3 plus 3/3 will give me v. Keep the denominator, combine the numerator, to the 4/3. And that one is simplified. So actually both are on the numerator, so you don't have to show a denominator. So u to the 1 half, v to the 4/3. For problem 32, we have a product. Notice everything there is multiplied. We're allowed to rearrange it if we would like when it's multiplied. So I'm just going to change the order. I'm going to put the constant first, so my 4. Then I'm going to do my x's. And I'm going to put my y's last. Right? If you had any other numbers, you would work that out, but all you have is 4, so that piece is finished. For the x's, they are side by side. The rule is keep the base and add. So we'll go over here to work on that. We have x to the 2 plus 4/3. So we're going to need a common denominator again. Looks like a 3 will work. So our first fraction is the one that needs work this time. It needs a factor of 3. So we have x to the 6/3 plus 4/3. We'll keep that common denominator, the 3, and combine the numerator to give us 10. So we have x to the 10/3. And then we'll do the y's. The y's are like bases side by side. The rule is keep the base and add. Don't forget the 1. So this will just give us y to the 3rd. So 4x to the 10/3, y to the 3rd.